The council chamber remained silent for a long moment after Daejung finished presenting the war records. Counselors looked at each other, their expressions unreadable across the vast differences in species. Some seemed thoughtful, others appeared skeptical, a few looked almost angry. Finally, Thexal spoke. His scales had darkened to a deep bronze, the color of suspicion in his species. Captain Daejung, you have shown us recordings and data, but data can be altered. Recordings can be staged. I do not believe that any species would willingly fight the way you describe. It makes no tactical sense. It violates every principle of efficient warfare. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. A counselor from the lower tiers stood up, his species resembling a mass of tentacles wrapped around a central core. The Vrelian Dominion has fought wars for thousands of years. They have defeated dozens of species. Are we truly expected to believe that humans, newcomers to galactic society, simply announced their positions and won through honor alone? This sounds like propaganda. Another voice joined in, this one from a species that communicated through color changes in their translucent skin. I propose that we investigate whether humans used psychological warfare. Perhaps they employed fear tactics, sonic weapons that affect the mind, or chemical agents that induce shame and guilt. These would be violations of the Accords of Sentient Warfare. Daejung remained calm in the center platform, his hands still clasped behind his back, but Admiral Hana stood up from the human delegation area, her face showing controlled anger. This council asked us to explain how we won, Hana said, her voice carrying clearly across the chamber. Captain Daejung has done exactly that. He has provided complete transparency. Every battle record, every communication, every sensor log has been made available to your investigation teams. And now you accuse us of lying? Of using illegal weapons? This is insulting. Thexal's tail swished in agitation. Admiral Hana, we are not accusing. We are questioning. There is a difference. Your species defeated a major military power in record time. This council has a responsibility to understand how. If you have nothing to hide, you should welcome our skepticism. We do welcome it, said a new voice. Ambassador Young Mi walked down the steps from the human delegation area. She moved with quiet dignity, her diplomatic robes flowing behind her. But there is a difference between healthy skepticism and refusing to believe something simply because it challenges your worldview. Young Mi reached the center platform and stood beside Daejung. Counselors, I have served as Earth's ambassador for 12 years. In that time, I have learned something about how most galactic species view warfare. You see it as a problem to be solved with efficiency. You calculate the most cost-effective way to defeat an enemy. You use every advantage available because not using an advantage seems foolish. She paused, looking around the chamber. But humans see warfare differently. We see it as a test, not just of strength or technology, but of character. We believe that how you fight defines who you are. Would you like to know why we really fight with honor? Several counselors nodded, even the skeptical ones. Because we fought each other for thousands of years, Young Mi continued. Humans warred with other humans constantly. We developed weapons that could destroy our entire world. We came very close to using them. And then we realized something. If we kept fighting without rules, without honor, without mercy, we would exterminate ourselves. So we made a choice. We decided that even in war we would maintain our humanity. We would fight, but we would fight as warriors, not as murderers. Thexal leaned back in his seat. A pretty speech, Ambassador. But it does not answer the fundamental question. Why would the Vrelians surrender to tactics that should not work? Because honor is a weapon you do not understand, said Security Chief Hyunwoo, stepping forward with a data tablet in his hands. If you will permit me, I would like to share classified information that will help explain. The council chamber fell quiet again. Classified information always drew attention. I am authorized to present combat statistics that we initially withheld, Hyunwoo said. During the 3-week war, human ships engaged Vrelian forces in 47 major battles. In 32 of those battles, we achieved what we call a killing position. This means we had clear shots at enemy vessels that were disabled, retreating or otherwise unable to defend themselves. He activated his tablet, sending data to the chamber's main display. Numbers and charts appeared showing engagement details. Of those 32 opportunities, Hyunwoo continued, we fired on the disabled enemy exactly 0 times. Not once. We had 47 chances to destroy helpless Vrelian ships. We never took those shots. In fact, in 18 instances, we actively protected damaged Vrelian vessels from being hit by crossfire from their own forces. Counselor Vess's compound eyes seemed to glitter with interest. You protected enemy ships from their own allies. Yes, Hyunwoo confirmed. When a Vrelian ship was disabled in the middle of a battle, we positioned our own vessels between it and the ongoing combat. We took hits on our shields to protect crews that had been trying to kill us minutes earlier. The tentacled counselor who had spoken earlier shifted in his seat. But why? This is beyond honor. I do not even have a word for it in my language. Compassion, Youngmi said softly. Mercy. The belief that even enemies deserve dignity. These are not weapons in your sense, but they are more powerful than you realize. Another counselor stood up, this one from a species covered in thick fur. I have reviewed the investigation data. Everything the humans say checks out. Their battle logs are genuine. Their communications were really broadcast on open channels, but I still do not understand how this led to victory. Commander Kolvek should have adapted. Any competent military leader would have changed tactics. He did adapt, Daejung said. That is exactly the problem. Let me show you his final report to the Vrelian High Command. A new hologram appeared, showing a document written in Vrelian script with human translations scrolling beside it. Kolvek's voice read his own words aloud. To the High Command of the Vrelian Dominion, I must recommend immediate cessation of hostilities with Earth. Our forces cannot achieve victory against human fleets. This is not due to inferior technology or numbers. Our ships are equal or superior in both categories. The problem is tactical and psychological. The recording continued. Humans fight with a code of honor that makes our standard tactics useless. They refuse to use stealth or ambush. They announce their positions. They give us time to prepare. And then they attack with such conviction and ferocity that our forces break formation first. Every time. Without fail, Kolvek's voice carried a tone of exhaustion. More troubling is their treatment of our survivors. They rescue our wounded. They repair damaged ships. They show mercy to defeated enemies. This has created a crisis among our crews. Soldiers are questioning why we fight using methods that humans consider dishonorable. Morale is collapsing. Desertion rates are increasing. If we continue this war, we will not lose because humans destroy us. We will lose because our own forces refuse to fight them. The document ended. The council chamber absorbed the implications. Thexal's scales shifted through several colors before settling on a pale green, the color of acceptance in his species. So you are saying that by fighting honorably, humans made the Vrelians question their own honor. And this destroyed their will to fight. Yes, Daejung said simply. We did not defeat them with better weapons. We defeated them with a better way. But a harsh voice cut through the chamber. I disagree completely. The speaker was a counselor from the upper tiers, his species resembling an upright insect with multiple eyes. This is psychological warfare at its most insidious. Humans made their enemies feel shame. They weaponized guilt. They attacked the moral foundations of Vrelian society. This is more cruel than any physical weapon. You broke them mentally and you call it honor. Several counselors vocalized agreement. The chamber began to split into factions. Some seemed convinced by Daejung's explanation. Others grew more suspicious. Young Mi held up her hand, calling for quiet. Counselor, I understand your concern. But consider this. If we wanted to use psychological warfare, we could have done so much more effectively. We could have broadcast images of Vrelian atrocities. We could have depicted them as monsters. We could have dehumanized them to justify cruelty. But we did not. We simply fought them face to face and treated them with respect even in defeat. If that is psychological warfare, then I ask you, what is the alternative? The alternative is efficient combat, the insect counselor replied. You finish the war quickly. You minimize total casualties on both sides by using every advantage to end the conflict fast. Your method prolonged the war and likely increased suffering. Hyunwoo shook his head. Actually, our analysis shows the opposite. If we had fought using standard galactic tactics, the war would have lasted months or years. Casualty projections were in the millions. By breaking the Vrelians' will to fight, we ended the war in 3 weeks with fewer than 10,000 total casualties on both sides combined. Our honor saved lives, not cost them. Thexal raised his hand, calling for order as arguments broke out across the chamber. 1 hour later, the council chamber filled again. The tension felt different now. Counselors sat forward in their seats. Translation systems hummed softly. preparing for whatever testimony would come. Everyone knew this moment would determine humanity's future in galactic society. The main entrance doors opened. A Vrelian walked through. Rixon was tall and thin, as all Vrelians were. His gray skin showed darker patches around his eyes and hands, marks that indicated age in his species. He wore no military uniform, just simple civilian clothing. But the way he carried himself spoke of someone who had commanded others. He walked to the center platform without hesitation. When he reached Daejung, he stopped and bowed deeply. It was a human gesture, not a Vrelian one. The council noticed. Daejung returned the bow, equally deep. "Thank you for coming, Envoy Rixon." "I had to come," Rixon replied in accented but clear human language. "What I have to say needs to be heard." Thexal's scales showed curiosity colors. "Envoy Rixon, you served in the Vrelian fleet during the war with Earth?" "I did," Rixon confirmed. "I was a ship commander. I fought in 9 battles against human forces. I survived all of them, though I lost my ship in the final engagement." "And you are here to testify about human tactics?" Thexal asked. "I am here to testify about human honor," Rixon corrected. He turned to face the full council. "I have heard the debates over the last few days. I have listened to your doubts and accusations. You question whether humans really fought the way they claim. You wonder if they used psychological weapons. You fear that their honor is just a disguise for something more sinister." He paused, his large eyes scanning the chamber. "I am here to tell you that everything Captain Daejung said is true. And I am here to tell you why it matters." Rixon gestured and a holographic display activated. It showed his ship, the Darkwater, a sleek Vrelian cruiser designed for stealth operations. "This was my command," Rixon said. "I was proud of it. Darkwater had the best cloaking system in our fleet. I had conducted 40 successful ambush operations against various enemies over my career. I had never lost a battle. I was considered one of our best tactical commanders." The hologram showed Darkwater approaching a human fleet, completely cloaked and invisible. "This was my first encounter with Earth forces," Rixon continued. "I positioned my ship perfectly. The humans were broadcasting their location, just as your reports indicated. I thought it was the easiest target I would ever have. I ordered my weapons to charge. I prepared to strike at their engines, the standard opening move. And then something happened that I did not expect. The hologram showed a pulse of energy emanating from the human ships. Suddenly the outline of Darkwater became visible, a shimmering ghost in space. They saw me," Rixon said quietly. Their engineer, a woman named Jiwan, had developed a way to detect cloaked ships. But here is the important part. They did not fire. The council chamber remained absolutely silent. I waited for their weapons to lock onto me. Rixon continued. I prepared my ship for evasive maneuvers. But nothing happened. Instead, I received a communication from Captain Daejung. He told me that he could see me. He told me that if I wanted to fight, I should decloak and face him properly. He said that he would not shoot at a cloaked vessel. Rixon's expression showed something that looked like shame. I did not believe him. I thought it was a trick. So I stayed cloaked and repositioned for a better attack angle. The humans tracked me the entire time. They could have destroyed me at any moment, but they just watched. And they kept broadcasting the same message. Face us properly or leave. We will not strike at your back. The hologram showed Darkwater moving around the human formation, trying different approach vectors. Each time, the human ships simply rotated to face the Vrelian vessel directly. This went on for 10 minutes, Rixon said. 10 minutes where I had a powerful enemy at my mercy, but they refused to shoot me. Finally, I made a decision that went against every tactical doctrine I had ever learned. I decloaked. The hologram showed Darkwater becoming fully visible. The human ships immediately powered down their weapons to standby status. They powered down. Rixon's voice rose slightly. The moment I showed myself, they reduced their weapon readiness. It was an act of respect, a gesture that said, now we can fight as equals. This confused me more than anything else in the battle. The hologram showed the engagement that followed. 2 ships facing each other directly, exchanging fire while maintaining formation. It looked almost ceremonial compared to the chaotic combat that usually characterized space warfare. We fought for 8 minutes. Rixon said, my ship took more damage than his. My shields failed first. My weapons overheated. I knew I had lost. I prepared to cloak and retreat, but my cloaking system had been damaged. I could not hide. I could not run. I was helpless. The hologram showed dark water drifting, fires visible through breaches in its hull. The human ship approached slowly. I ordered my crew to evacuate to the escape pods, Rixon continued. I expected Captain Daejung to destroy my ship completely. That is what we would have done. That is what everyone does. You do not leave an enemy vessel intact even if disabled, but the human ship docked with dark water instead. Rixon's voice became quieter. Captain Daejung himself came aboard. He had a medical team with him. They treated our wounded. They stabilized our ship's reactor so it would not explode. They gave us supplies and repair materials. And then, before he left, Daejung found me on the bridge. A new recording appeared, this one from Darkwater's internal cameras. It showed Daejung in a spacesuit, standing in the damaged Vrelian bridge. Rixon sat in his command chair, injured but conscious. The recorded Daejung spoke through his suit's communicator. Commander Rixon, you fought well. You fought with honor once you revealed yourself. That deserves respect. The recorded Rixon looked confused. You could have killed us all. Why did you not? Because you are a defeated enemy, not a target, Daejung replied. The battle is over, you lost. Now you get to go home and tell your people what it means to fight humans. The recording ended. In the council chamber, Rixon continued his testimony. That moment changed everything for me, he said. I had spent my entire military career believing that warfare was about efficiency, about using every advantage, about winning at any cost. Captain Daejung showed me something different. He showed me that there is strength in restraint. There is power in mercy. There is victory in honor. Thexal leaned forward. But this is one story, one battle. How does this explain the entire war? Because I was not alone, Rixon said. Every Vrelian commander who survived an encounter with human forces experienced something similar. We all faced enemies who announced their positions. We all tried to ambush them and found they were ready. We all learned that humans would not shoot at our backs, and we all received mercy when we were defeated. Rixon looked directly at Thexal. You asked why we surrendered so quickly. I will tell you. It was not because we feared human weapons. It was not because they used psychological warfare. It was because they showed us what warriors should be, and when we compared ourselves to them, we felt ashamed. The insect counselor who had been skeptical earlier stood up. So humans did weaponize shame. They made you feel inferior. No, Rixon said firmly. They did not make us feel ashamed. Our own actions made us feel ashamed. Humans simply held up a mirror. They fought the way we should have been fighting all along. With honor. With respect for enemies. With mercy for the defeated. When you see someone doing something better than you, something you know in your core is right, and you realize you have been doing it wrong your entire life, that shame is your own creation. Admiral Sujin stood up from the human delegation area. She had remained quiet until now, but her rank as one of Earth's highest military commanders gave her voice authority. If I may present additional evidence, Sujin said, I have compiled comprehensive battle data from the entire war. I would like to show the Council exactly how many times human forces could have fired on retreating or disabled enemies and chose not to. A massive data display appeared, filling the center of the chamber with numbers and statistics. Battle after battle was listed, each one showing opportunities where human weapons had locks on helpless targets. 47 occasions, Sujin said. 47 times where our ships could have destroyed Vrelian vessels that were retreating or disabled. 47 times where a single shot would have eliminated an enemy. 0 times where we took that shot. She highlighted specific entries. Battle of the Helix Nebula. 3 Vrelian destroyers disabled. We positioned our ships around them to protect them from debris and crossfire. Battle of the Outer Rings. 5 Vrelian cruisers fleeing at maximum speed. We let them go without pursuit. Battle of the Dark Zone. Vrelian command ship crippled. We rescued their entire command staff, including Commander Kulvex himself. Counselor Vess's compound eyes reflected the data display. This is extraordinary. In galactic warfare history, I cannot recall any conflict where the victorious side showed such consistent restraint. That is because you have never fought humans before, Daejung said. He stepped forward to stand beside Rixon. Envoy Rixon came here today to testify about what happened. The holographic display in the council chamber shifted to show a star map. Red markers indicated Vrelian-controlled territory. Blue markers showed human positions. Between them, a vast expanse of space where the war had been fought. Daejung gestured to the map. Let me take you through the 3 weeks of the war day by day. You will see exactly how we fought and why it worked. The map animated showing the first week. Human fleet markers moved from Earth territory toward Vrelian space in clear, direct lines. No deviation, no attempts to hide their course. Week 1 began with our fleets broadcasting on all channels, Daejung explained. We sent the same message every 6 hours. We are coming. We are here. We will arrive at this location. Any Vrelian ship that heard these broadcasts immediately reported them to their command. Their admirals thought it was some kind of psychological trick. A new hologram appeared showing the bridge of a Vrelian command ship. The recording had been captured from their own systems during the war. Vrelian Commander Kulvek sat in the command chair, his gray skin reflecting the blue light of displays around him. His species looked almost human, but taller and thinner, with large eyes adapted for low light. The recording had subtitles translating his words. These humans are either fools or they are trying to lure us into a trap. Either way, we will use their arrogance against them. Prepare ambush positions at every point along their announced route. Back in the council chamber, Daejung continued. The Vrelians positioned their ships exactly where they needed to be for perfect ambushes. They cloaked and waited. When our fleets arrived, they struck from behind, from above, from every angle they thought would give them advantage. The display showed the first engagement. Just as before, Vrelian ships appeared around a human formation. Just as before, human ships turned to face them. But this recording showed more detail. It showed individual ship maneuvers. It showed the precision of human defensive formations. Captain Sunwoo commanded our scout ship Pioneer during this engagement, Daejung said. A new face appeared in the hologram, a younger officer with sharp eyes and a confident smile. He developed a tactic we used throughout the war. Show them, Captain. The recording showed Sunwoo on his bridge. All ships execute pattern Delta. Let them see us turn. Let them see us prepare. I want them to watch as we face them directly. The human ships moved in perfect coordination. Each vessel rotated to present its strongest shields toward the Vrelian positions. Weapons powered up visibly. Energy signatures flaring bright enough for any sensor to detect. We could have powered up our weapons quietly, Daejung explained. Most species do, but we wanted the Vrelians to see us preparing to fight. We wanted them to know that we saw them, we were ready for them, and we were not afraid. The battle played out. Vrelian ships fired first, as they always did. Human shields absorbed the impacts. Then human ships returned fire, their shots calculated and precise. No wild spraying of weapons. No panic firing. Just steady, measured combat. After less than a minute of fighting, the Vrelian ships cloaked and retreated. They could not understand it, Daejung said. In their experience, ambushed fleets either scattered in panic or took heavy casualties while trying to escape. We did neither. We stood our ground and fought them face to face. It broke their tactical doctrine completely. Counselor Vess raised one of her forearms. But did you not take losses? Surely their ambushes caused damage. We did take damage, Daejung confirmed. 3 ships were destroyed in that first week. 217 crew members died, but those losses were acceptable because of what we gained. What did you gain? Thexal asked. We gained their confusion, Daejung replied. And confusion in warfare is more valuable than any weapon. Let me show you week 2. The star map animated again. This time, human fleets split into smaller groups. Each group broadcast its position and destination. The Vrelian forces, seeing this, also split up to counter multiple threats. The Vrelians adapted, Daejung said. They spread their forces to match ours. They tried to use their numerical advantage, but they made a critical mistake. They thought we were finally playing the game their way. A new recording showed a meeting between human officers. Engineer Jiwon sat at a table covered with holographic displays. She looked tired, her eyes showing dark circles from lack of sleep. But her voice was energetic. I think I have figured out their cloaking technology, Jiwon said in the recording. It is not true invisibility. It bends light and sensor waves around their ships. But when they move, especially when they accelerate or turn, there is a disruption, a ripple in space that we can detect if we know what to look for. Another officer in the recording, an older man, leaned forward. Can we target them while they are cloaked? No, Jiwon admitted. Our weapons need a solid lock. But we can do something else. We can illuminate them. I can modify our sensor arrays to broadcast a pulse that will make their cloak shimmer. It will not break the cloak completely, but it will show everyone where they are. The recording cut to Ji-won on the bridge of a human ship, working at a console. Dae-jung's voice could be heard giving orders. All ships prepare to activate Engineer Ji-won's modification on my mark. Vrelian fleet is approaching. Let them get close. Let them think they have achieved surprise. The view switched to an external camera. Space looked empty except for human ships in formation. Then Ji-won's sensor pulse activated. Suddenly, dozens of ripples appeared in the darkness. Outlines of cloaked ships became visible, like ghosts in the void. We did not fire, Dae-jung told the council. We could have destroyed them while they were still cloaked. Our weapons could have locked onto those sensor returns. But we did not shoot. Instead, I sent them a message. The recording showed Dae-jung speaking into his communication system. Vrelian vessels, we can see you. We know where you are. You cannot hide from us anymore. We are giving you a choice. Decloak and fight us properly or leave. We will not fire on cloaked ships. We will not shoot at enemies who are hiding. But if you want to fight us, face us like warriors. The cloaked Vrelian ships remained motionless for several seconds. Then, one by one, they decloaked. Their ships appeared fully visible, weapons powered but not firing. They decloaked, Counselor Vess said, her voice filled with wonder. They revealed themselves because you asked them to. Not because we asked, Dae-jung corrected. Because we gave them no other choice. If they stayed cloaked, we would not fight them. If they wanted combat, they had to show themselves. And once they showed themselves, they had to fight in a way they were not trained for. The recording continued. The now visible Vrelian fleet advanced toward the human formation. Both sides moved slowly, deliberately. When they came into range, both sides opened fire at the same moment. This was the first true battle of the war, Dae-jung said. Both fleets visible. Both fleets prepared. Both sides fighting with honor, whether they wanted to or not. The battle lasted longer than previous engagements. Ships on both sides took damage. Human vessels showed scorched armor and flickering shields. Vrelian ships vented atmosphere from hull breaches, but neither side retreated immediately. Then something unexpected happened. A Vrelian ship heavily damaged began to drift. Its engines were offline. Its weapons went dark. A human destroyer moved toward it. Thexal leaned forward. Are we about to see your ships destroy a helpless enemy? Watch, Dae-jung said simply. The human destroyer approached the crippled Vrelian vessel. But instead of firing weapons, it extended a docking tube. Human crew in spacesuits crossed over to the damaged ship. The recording showed them inside the Vrelian vessel, helping injured crew members. They provided medical aid. They stabilized the ship's life support. They even made temporary repairs to prevent the ship from breaking apart. The council chamber erupted in shocked voices. Several counselors stood up from their seats. Translation systems struggled with multiple species all talking at once. Dae-jung waited for quiet. We rescued them, he said. We pulled 243 Vrelian crew members from that ship. We treated their wounded. We gave them supplies. And then we let them go. Why? Someone shouted from the upper tiers. They were your enemies. They were defeated enemies, Dae-jung replied. We do not kill defeated enemies. That is not honor. That is murder. The star map showed week 3 now. Vrelian fleet positions began to change. Instead of aggressive postures, they showed retreat patterns. Instead of ambush positions, they gathered in defensive formations around their core worlds. By week 3, the Vrelian command realized something. Dae-jung said, every time they fought us, they lost. Not because we were stronger, but because we were willing to fight in ways they could not match. Every time they tried to ambush us, we turned and faced them. Every time they tried to hide, we found them but did not shoot. Every time they fought us directly, we stood our ground while they broke formation first. Commander Kulvex appeared in another hologram, this one showing him at a command meeting with other Vrelian officers. His expression looked defeated even before the battle was over. How do we fight enemies who announce their positions? Kulvex asked his officers. 3 days passed quickly. The council chamber filled again with representatives from across the galaxy. This time, the atmosphere felt different. Investigation teams had spent 72 hours reviewing human battle data. Some of what they found confused them. Some of it fascinated them. All of it challenged their understanding of warfare. Dae-jung stood at the center platform once more. Beside him, a holographic display finally activated. But instead of showing battle formations or weapon specifications, it showed something unexpected. It showed Earth. The blue and green planet rotated slowly, clouds swirling across its surface. Before I explain how we fought the Vrelians, Daejung began, I need to explain where we come from. Earth is a single world. For most of our history, we never left it. We fought our wars on land, on water, in the air above our continents. We never had the luxury of hiding in the vastness of space. The image changed. Now it showed human warriors on horseback, charging across an open field. Metal armor gleamed in sunlight. Swords were raised high. The warriors screamed battle cries as they rode toward an enemy force that charged back at them from the opposite direction. This is how humans fought 1,000 years ago, Daejung continued. Both sides could see each other. Both sides knew the battle was coming. They met in the middle, face to face, weapon to weapon. The side that fought with more skill, more courage, and better strategy won. There was no stealth, no ambush, just pure combat. Counselor Vess leaned forward, her compound eyes reflecting the hologram. But surely this was inefficient. Many warriors must have died. Many did, Daejung agreed. But something else happened too. Warriors developed codes of honor. They created rules about how to fight fairly. They respected brave enemies. They believed that how you won mattered as much as winning itself. Thexel's tail swished. And you claim humans still follow these ancient ideas? Even in space warfare? We do, Daejung said. Let me show you why. The hologram shifted again. Now it displayed a historian standing in what looked like a university lecture hall. The caption identified him as Tae Yang, professor of military history at Earth's Global Defense Academy. The recording began to play. Tae Yang spoke calmly, his hands gesturing to illustrate his points. Most galactic species evolved their warfare in space environments. They never experienced the close-quarters combat that defined Earth's military development. In space, you have infinite directions to attack from. You have vast distances to hide in. Stealth becomes natural. Ambush becomes standard. Tae Yang pulled up his own holographic displays showing various alien ship formations. But humans evolved warfare in environments with limited space and no place to hide. If you wanted to conquer a city, you had to march your army there. If you wanted to win a naval battle, you had to sail your ships into visual range. Hiding was temporary at best. Eventually, you had to face your enemy directly. The recording paused. Daejung looked around the chamber. Professor Tae Yang advised our fleet command during the Vrelian conflict. He helped us understand that our enemies would not expect direct confrontation, because they never evolved that way. Their entire military doctrine is built on advantages gained before the fight even begins. A new recording began. This one showed Lieutenant Bo-Ra, Daejung's tactical officer. She appeared via hologram, her image solid and clear. Behind her, the bridge of a human warship was visible, crew members working at their stations. Captain Daejung asked me to explain our tactical approach, Bo-Ra said. When the Vrelians attacked our colony on Titan's moon, they used their standard methods. Their ships approached while cloaked. They achieved complete surprise. Our colonists never saw them coming. 3,000 people died in the first strike. The chamber grew very quiet. Even species that did not understand human facial expressions could sense the pain in Bo-Ra's voice. Earth fleet could have responded the same way, Bo-Ra continued. We have cloaking technology. We could have hunted Vrelian ships silently and destroyed them without warning. But Captain Daejung made a different choice. He ordered all human ships to disable their cloaking systems. He ordered us to broadcast our positions on open channels, and he sent a message directly to the Vrelian command. The hologram changed again. Now it showed Daejung himself, but younger, recorded months earlier. He sat in the captain's chair on his ship's bridge. His expression was stern but calm. This is Captain Daejung of the Earth Fleet vessel Indomitable, the recording said. We are responding to your attack on our colony. We will not hide from you. We will not strike you from behind. We will meet you in open space and we will fight you as warriors. We are transmitting our fleet positions now. We will arrive at the Helios Junction in 48 hours. Prepare your defenses. We are coming, the recording ended. The real Daejung standing in the council chamber let the silence stretch for a moment. They thought it was a trick, he said finally. The Vrelians monitored our broadcasts for days, waiting for us to deviate from our announced course. We never did. We arrived exactly where we said we would, exactly when we said we would. What happened? Asked a counselor from the mid-tiers. Her voice carried genuine curiosity. They ambushed us anyway, Daejung replied. Or they tried to. Vrelian ships decloaked behind our formation, targeting our engines and command sections. It is their preferred tactic. Disable the enemy before they can fight back. a new recording appeared. This showed the battle from multiple camera angles. Human ships flew in a tight formation, their shields glowing with visible energy. Suddenly, space rippled. Vrelian vessels appeared behind the human fleet, weapons already firing. But the human ships did not scatter. They did not panic. Instead, they executed a coordinated turn. Within seconds, they faced their attackers directly. Their forward shields absorbed the weapons fire while their own guns charged. "We knew they would try to get behind us," Daejung explained. "We prepared for it. We made sure our strongest shields faced where we expected them to appear. When they decloaked, we were ready." The battle recording continued. Human ships advanced toward the Vrelian vessels. The Vrelians, instead of standing and fighting, cloaked again and retreated. This pattern repeated throughout the first week of the war, Daejung said. The Vrelians would position themselves for ambushes. We would turn to face them. They would retreat. They could not understand why we refused to use stealth ourselves. It violated everything they knew about warfare. Thexal's scales shifted to a thoughtful orange hue. But surely they adapted. The Vrelian military is not foolish. They must have changed their tactics. They tried, Daejung confirmed. Let me show you what happened when they attempted direct combat. A new recording began, this one showing a much larger battle. Dozens of ships from both sides filled the screen. This time, the Vrelian vessels did not cloak. They formed their own battle line and advanced toward the human fleet. This battle occurred in the second week, Daejung narrated. The Vrelians decided to meet us head-on. They thought that if humans wanted direct combat, they would give it to us. They expected to overwhelm us with superior numbers and technology. The fleets closed with each other. Weapons fire lit up the darkness. Human ships took hits, their shields flaring with each impact. Several human vessels showed visible damage. But something strange happened. The human ships did not retreat. They did not attempt evasive maneuvers. They simply kept advancing, shields forward, returning fire steadily. The Vrelians expected us to break formation, Daejung said. In every battle they had fought before, when a fleet took this much damage, ships would scatter. Captains would prioritize survival. But we held our line. On the screen, Vrelian ships began to waver, small movements at first. A vessel drifting slightly off its position. Another turning to expose less vulnerable areas to enemy fire. They blinked first. Bora's voice came through the recording, capturing the moment in real time. Their formation is breaking. All ships maintain course. Keep firing. The Vrelian formation collapsed. Ships scattered in multiple directions. Some tried to cloak and escape. Others simply accelerated away at maximum speed. The human fleet did not pursue aggressively. They held their position and let the enemy flee. Daejung paused the recording. We could have destroyed most of those ships. Our sensors can track cloaked vessels. Our weapons have the range to hit retreating targets. But we did not fire on them. Why not? Thexal demanded. They were your enemies. They killed your colonists. Why show mercy? Because we wanted them to understand something, Daejung replied. We wanted them to know that we only fight when facing them directly. We never shoot at backs. We never strike at the helpless. When you run from us, you are safe. But when you stand against us, you must be ready for real combat. General Myung appeared in a new hologram. He was older than anyone else shown so far, his hair completely gray. Medals covered his uniform chest. The caption identified him as retired, a veteran of Earth's last major planetary war before humans reached the stars. I trained most of Earth Fleet's current officers, Myung said in the recording. I taught them that warfare is not just about winning. It is about what you become in the process of winning. If you use every dirty trick, every cowardly tactic, every dishonorable method, you might win. The council chamber floated in the darkness of space like a massive crystal sphere. Inside, representatives from 47 different alien species sat in their designated sections. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime, converting thousands of languages into something everyone could understand. Admiral Hana stood near the human delegation area, her uniform pressed perfectly, her face calm despite the tension in the room. She watched as Captain Daejung walked through the main entrance. He wore his standard Earth Fleet uniform, nothing fancy, nothing special. His boots clicked against the polished floor as he made his way to the center platform. Every eye in the chamber followed him. Some of those eyes were large and black. Others glowed with bioluminescence. A few species did not have eyes at all, but they tracked him nonetheless. Counselor Thexal rose from his seat. His scales caught the light and shimmered in shades of green and gold. He was old, very old, and everyone knew it. His voice carried authority that came from centuries of leadership. "Captain Daejung of Earth," Thexel began, "you stand before this council to answer questions about your species' recent military actions. The Vrelian Dominion has been a recognized military power for 3,000 standard years. They have fought wars that lasted decades. They have technology that surpasses most species in this chamber. Yet humanity, a species that joined galactic society only 50 years ago, defeated them in 3 weeks." Thexal paused, letting his words sink in. The chamber remained silent. "We need to understand how this happened. Some of us fear that Earth has developed weapons that violate the accords of sentient warfare. Others believe humans have found ways to inflict psychological damage that borders on torture. You will explain your methods today, Captain. You will make us understand." Daejung stood in the center of the platform. A holographic projector waited beside him, capable of displaying complex battle simulations in 3 dimensions. He did not touch it. Instead, he simply clasped his hands behind his back and looked around the chamber. "Thank you, Counselor," Daejung said. His voice was steady, not too loud, not too soft. "I will answer all your questions. But first, I need to ask you all something. How do your species fight wars?" Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Several counselors exchanged glances. This was not how these proceedings usually went. The accused did not ask questions. A tall, thin creature with 4 arms raised 1 limb. Counselor Vess from the Chittering Worlds. "We fight with strategy and intelligence. We strike when the enemy is weak. We use our advantages." Another voice joined in, this one deep and rumbling. "We attack supply lines and communication hubs. We make the enemy blind before we strike." More voices added their thoughts. Daejung listened to all of them. He nodded slowly as patterns emerged from their answers. After several minutes, he raised 1 hand. The chamber fell quiet again. "I understand," Daejung said. "You fight smart. You use tactics that minimize your losses and maximize enemy casualties. You strike from positions of advantage. You use stealth, deception, and surprise." "Of course," Thexal said. "That is what warfare is. That is how civilized species conduct military operations." Daejung smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "That is where we differ, Counselor. Humans fight differently. We won against the Vrelians because they expected us to fight like you do. They expected ambushes, stealth attacks, strikes from behind. Instead, we did something they could not predict." "What did you do?" asked Ambassador Kyung-ho from the human delegation area. He already knew the answer, but the question needed to be asked for the record. "We told them we were coming," Daejung said simply. "We broadcast our fleet positions. We announced our attack vectors hours in advance. We gave them time to prepare their defenses, and then we came at them from the front, shields forward, weapons visible and charging." The chamber erupted. Voices spoke over each other in dozens of languages. The translation system struggled to keep up. Thexal's scales darkened to a deep bronze color, a sign of agitation in his species. "Impossible," someone shouted. "No military force would handicap themselves like that." "It is suicide," another voice added. "It is a lie," a third voice accused. Daejung waited for the noise to die down. Admiral Hana watched him from her seat, pride evident in her expression. She had served with Daejung for 15 years. She knew what he was capable of, and more importantly, she knew what humanity was capable of. When the chamber quieted, Daejung continued. "It sounds impossible, I know, but I am not lying. I have all our battle logs, communication records, and sensor data. I will share everything with this council. You will see that we did exactly what I said." Thexal leaned forward. "Why? Why would you fight in such a manner? It makes no sense. In warfare, deception is survival. Surprise is victory. You are telling me humans simply do not use these advantages?" "We can use them," Daejung corrected. "We have stealth technology. We have cloaking devices. We have weapons that can strike from orbit without warning, but we chose not to use them against the Vrelians. We chose to fight them face to face, but why?" Vess asked, genuine confusion in her voice. Daejung looked at the insectoid counselor. "Because we wanted to win with honor. We wanted the Vrelians to know that when they lost to warriors who gave them every chance. We wanted them to respect the outcome." The chamber fell into a different kind of silence now. This was not the silence of shock or anger. This was the silence of beings trying to understand a concept completely foreign to them. A smaller counselor, barely visible in the upper tiers, spoke up. His voice was high-pitched, almost musical. "Counselor Thexol, I must ask a question. Is it possible that humans are telling the truth? Could a species actually fight this way and win?" Thexol's tail swished behind him, another sign of deep thought. "In theory, if the enemy is unprepared for such tactics, if they have built their entire military doctrine around stealth and ambush, yes. They might be caught completely off guard. Their training, their instincts, their strategies would all fail them." "Exactly," Daejung said. "The Vrelians are excellent at what they do. They are masters of surprise attacks, but they have never faced an enemy that refuses to play that game. When we came at them directly, announced and visible, they did not know how to respond." Kyung-ho stood up from the delegation area. "If I may address the council," he said, waiting for permission. Thexol nodded. "Earth's military philosophy is built on thousands of years of ground warfare on our home planet. We developed concepts like honorable combat, warrior codes, and rules of engagement. These ideas are deeply embedded in our culture. We fight the way we want to be fought against." "That is weakness," someone muttered from the back rows, "is it?" Admiral Hana stood now, her voice carrying across the chamber. "The Vrelian Dominion surrendered after 3 weeks. They had the technology to fight for years. They had the resources to replace every ship we destroyed, but they surrendered. Why? Because Captain Daejung and the human fleet broke something more important than their ships. We broke their will to fight by showing them a better way." Thexol settled back in his seat. His scales had returned to their normal green-gold color. "Captain Daejung, this council will need proof of your claims. We will need to examine your battle records in detail. We will need testimony from Vrelian survivors. This session will reconvene in 3 days. Until then, you will make all relevant data available to our investigation teams." Daejung bowed slightly. "Everything will be provided, Counselor. Humanity has nothing to hide." As the session ended and beings began filing out of the chamber, Daejung remained on the platform. He looked up at the stars visible through the transparent dome above. Earth was out there somewhere, 300 light-years away. A small blue world that had taught its children to fight with honor, even when honor seemed foolish. Admiral Hana approached him. "That went well," she said quietly. "They do not believe me yet," Daejung replied. "They will," Hana assured him. "When they see the evidence, they will have no choice." Daejung nodded. "I hope so, because if they do not understand why we fight this way, they will fear us, and fear leads to war. I want them to understand. I want them to see that humanity's strength is not in our weapons or our ships. Our strength is in our choice to be better than we have to be,